Welcome back to another episode of Raven Investigates Still Unsolved Mysteries, or just Raven Investigates for short. As I said in the last video, I had a second case lined up, and that's the one we're going to cover today. So hopefully you guys are ready for some more interesting investigation stories, interesting cases, because this one's a bit of a doozy. So today, we will be investigating the unsolved murder of Aileen Ann Conway. This case begins at approximately 10:40 a.m. on April 29th, 1986. A farmer down in Oklahoma noticed that there was smoke coming from a nearby road and opted to call emergency services. Within 20 minutes, the Oklahoma State Highway Patrol showed up to the scene and found a car that was burning that had crashed into the bridge. Unfortunately, the highway patrolman could not do anything to save anyone in the car because the heat of the fire was, apparently, so intense that it had managed to melt the car into the bridge's metal guardrail. When the fire was finally extinguished, a body was found in the driver's seat of the car, but was, obviously, burned beyond the point of recognition. Investigating the scene of the crash, there were also skid marks found, and it was determined from this that the car had hit that guardrail going anywhere between 50 to 60 miles an hour. The car belonged to a man named Pat Conway, and the body was soon identified as that of Aileen. Aileen and Pat had been married for 33 years and lived together with their children in the city of Lawton, 15 miles away from where that car was found burning. Now, this whole case, based entirely on the above information and excluding the stranger details, may seem like it could be a cut and dry death by car accident. Maybe she lost control of the car, hit the guardrail, and that was that. However, things didn't end at that point. Pat, Aileen's husband, stated that when he returned home, things were in a weird state of disarray. He said the back door had been left open, the iron was sitting out, plugged in and turned on, the garden hose was sitting inside of the pool and running, the bathtub in the master bedroom was full of water, and the phone in that bathroom was left off the hook. Stranger still, Aileen's purse, including her driver's license, wallet, and glasses, was left behind, indicating that she hadn't planned on leaving. On top of that, the road that she was found on was completely unfamiliar to the family. It was one that neither of them had ever driven on and was pretty much in the back roads of nowhere. When Pat and the investigator, Ray Anderson, went back to that crash site the next day, Pat found a flyer for the church that Pat and Aileen attended, near the bridge. Pat then claimed that the last time he saw that flyer, or bulletin as he put it, was on the dashboard of the car, and that Aileen always drove with the windows up and the air conditioner on, meaning that it couldn't have simply blown out of the car while she was driving. It would most likely have been blown out when a door had been opened. From this, the investigators started speculating that there may have been someone else in the car with Aileen. He stated that it was possible that someone had intentionally set the accelerator down, shifted the car into drive, and tried to aim it toward the creek to make it look like she drove off into the creek, but failed, and the car then hit the guardrail. On top of this, and just to add more into this situation, the fire marshal's office stated that they were surprised at how hot the fire had been burning, and the amount of damage that was caused, stating that this level of destruction is typically only achieved if a fire is set with an accelerant, like gasoline. To this day, no one knows what happened here. No one knows how the fire was set, if it was caused by the accident, why it burned so hot, or technically, if it was even Eileen's body in the car. Nothing about this case makes it easy to piece anything together, beyond the fact that Aileen was gone and the car had been burned. Alright, so the speculation side of this case is a bit heavy, so just get ready for that. To start on official theories, beyond what I've already covered, authorities have stated that they believe her death may have been related to a string of burglaries in the neighborhood. It's suspected that the burglars intended to hit her home and didn't know that she was there. They believe that they found her at home, abducted, and then potentially killed her. The burglary scenario does work to some extent. Maybe the attackers hit her house and surprised her, and they determined that they needed to take her out. But if this was the case, one would think that the burglars would go about the situation in a way that would be a lot simpler than abducting her in her own car and then crashing it. It's possible that they told her to drive out to the countryside and they had a plan. And maybe she crashed the car on purpose to cause a scene in order to prevent them from doing what they were going to do. This would lend credence to the possibility of someone opening the door, causing the church bulletin to fly out. However, you would think this would also lead to at least one other injured person that may need medical attention, and it doesn't explain the intensity of the fire. Lending further possibility to the burglary gone wrong, there was supposedly jewelry that was reported missing, and the fact that she seemed to have been forced out of the house in a hurry is also a possible point to make for this. However, one should also look at the other indicators that she left in a hurry, and to me, they're a bit odd. Who runs a bath, fills a pool, and irons their Sunday best all at the same time? Filling a pool with a garden hose takes a long time, I get that, so maybe she set it and forget it, but why would she run a bath that she didn't actually plan to take? Also, in that same thought, why did she have the phone off the hook during this? The husband, Pat, states that he believes the phone was off the hook because she was trying to call for help. But again, why stage her death to look like an accident if you're going to kidnap her? To add to the information about the fire, and the possibility that the fire was set, it was noted that the gas cap on the car had been removed, which was stated that it is typically done to accelerate the spread of the fire, basically giving the flames a direct path to the gas tank. On top of this, there were other tests done, informally, mind you, on the dashboard and upholstery, samples from vehicles similar to the one Aileen was in. These tests concluded that it was unlikely the inside of the car would have burned like they did, if the car had simply caught fire. And again, adds more credence to the possibility of an accelerant. Just to add in here, basically these tests, they took a blowtorch, and they set the blowtorch against upholstery and fabric that was in the car, basically. They lit it on fire and pulled the blowtorch away. Upon pulling the blowtorch away, the fires basically went out. The material in cars is typically made to not catch fire for safety reasons, obviously. Anyway, one thing that was pointed out by the user PapaGrande23 on Reddit that actually resonated with me is the fact that it was never reported whether or not the lights in the house were still on. Pat claims he came home and found the door open, the iron on, the tub filled with water, the pool filling, and the phone off the hook. But not once did he say the lights were on. This is one of those small details that may mean nothing, but it may also shift the way you look at the case. If the lights were on, maybe she was actually rushed out of the house by a burglary gone wrong. if the lights were turned off, well, then it was likely that she left on her own free will. No person is going to commit an abduction and remember to turn the lights off, unless they really wanted to make it look like she did it to herself. But even then, in that scenario, you would think they would also have turned off the iron, drained the tub, shut off the hose, and then closed the door on the way out. Another thought on the burglary. Some jewelry was missing, but her purse was left behind. If they intended to kidnap her and get anything out of her, wouldn't they have grabbed the purse? This was 1986, so while banks were still a thing and they did exist and people did put their money in banks, they weren't as big and as relied upon as they are now, 30 plus years later. Odds are, she would have had cash in that purse. Why would they go for the jewelry that would have to be sold or pawned out and leave behind something that could be easily usable and not traceable? Much like the last case, this case has some really interesting list of suspects. The first suspect is the one that is considered official. A group of burglars that intended to steal from the house, but were surprised when they found her at home. The biggest issue with this still lies in how they found the body, and the issue with the lights, and also the fact that there did not appear to be a struggle in the house whatsoever. Nothing in the house was out of place, other than the oddities stated before, and it all seemed rather normal. It's a lot of effort to do what they did. The path of least resistance would have been either to kill her in the house, or if they were an arsonist and really wanted to set a fire, just burn the house down. The second suspect is one that is not officially a suspect, and that would be Pat, Eileen's husband. While he was never officially a suspect, and he did a lot to keep this case in the public eye, the possibility of him being abusive toward his wife has been unofficially floated on discussion pages. One theory in particular that I found interesting that kind of touched on how she died, or that at least touched on the car situation. Maybe she tried to get out of the house and he started chasing her in his car when she lost control and then hit the bridge. From there, maybe he set the car on fire to make sure she didn't make it out. It's also possible that the fire was set to destroy any physical evidence on the body. In addition to this, and to add to the possibilities of motive, it should be noted, though again, may not be relevant, that Pat remarried 2 years after his wife was found dead. The final suspect is actually Aileen herself. There are a couple of ways this one could be looked at. First off, there's the possibility that Aileen was potentially suicidal. Nothing official has been stated on this, but it has been, once again online and unofficially, floated that her behavior could be an indicator of bipolar disorder. Doing all of the things she was doing at once, the pool, the bath, the iron, and leaving something as important as her purse and glasses behind, could be an indication that she was not in a good place mentally or could have been on the borderline of a breakdown. Alternatively, there's the possibility that she staged her own death in order to start a new life. The only part of that makes it a bit hard to swallow, where did they get the body from? It's not impossible, it actually has happened before in another case that was on Unsolved Mysteries, I believe, or at least Forensic Files, that they could have gotten a recently deceased person's body and put it in the car. So again, while it's not impossible, it's just one of those hiccups in the theory that makes it a little less plausible. So once again, I'm going to preface this entire section, and I may have to do this every single time, with the statement that what follows herein is my personal opinion. This opinion is based solely on the information I found, discussions I read, and the evidence that has been placed before me on this case. So, again, personal opinion, and you don't have to agree with it or disagree with it. It's entirely up to you. But, once again, I will state this is an incredibly difficult case to form an opinion on. But if I had to, I would have to lean toward Pat being involved. The fact that he pushed to keep it in the public does lend to the possibility that maybe he did it and knew he wouldn't be found out. Confidence is a common trait among murderers and sociopaths. On top of that, the fact that he remarried so quickly despite being so vigilant in wanting this case solved just feels really dirty. That may not be the case. Maybe he knew this woman. Maybe he just wanted to find someone that could help him take care of his children. Maybe they went back. I don't really know. But remarrying that soon after your wife was found burned alive in a car 15 miles from your house just doesn't feel right to me. One theory that I also believe is possible, and it does explain the phone being off the hook, maybe he called her and told her something to get her out of the house. If this was the case, he may have called her and said that she needed to meet him immediately, maybe something about their children. It would have had to have been something so critical that she left her purse at home with her glasses and wallet, mind you, and she left the iron on, and the phone off the hook, and the hose running. You get the point. So in the end, I'm not certain in any way, shape, or form, but I'm leaning on the possibility that Pat was involved. To be honest, I don't really know. If he did have something to do with it, we will never find out, because Pat passed away in August of 2013, never revealing if he was involved or, alternatively, never knowing what killed his wife. That said, let me know what you think. Do you think it was him? Was it a burglary gone wrong, or do you think Aileen may have ran away to start anew? So that, my friends, was the unsolved murder of Aileen Ann Conway. Now, I do feel the need to say in these, my condolences to the families, obviously. I do feel bad that these happened. It's just that these cases are old, and sometimes it's just interesting to speculate on things that you don't have an answer for. So, that said, let me know, what do you guys think of this series? Do you think I should keep doing it? I plan to keep going for at least a while, just to see how far it goes. Plus, it's, and again, I don't mean to say entertaining, but it's entertaining to me to be able to research these cases, find information online, read through the discussions online, and then just kind of create a report on it. I'm an analytical person, so it's just something I like doing. Down in the description, you will find a link to a page, a document. In this document is the script for this episode, as well as a link for every single source I used to create this episode, this video. I intend to give you all of my sources so you can go through them. If you have information, obviously contact officials, but that's neither here nor there. But if you have information that I said something incorrect, or that something I stated was wrong and needs to be corrected, please tell me. I will absolutely make correction videos for these if I have to. If you find something, or if you find information that points to a potential direction I didn't go, let me know. That all said, my friends, I hope you're doing well, and I hope to see you on the next video. But until then, Raven, signing off. Sleep well.